Good morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning second season of Raising the NSBAR. I'm Jeff Lasky, the CEO of this great organization, the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors. I hope you are staying safe and healthy. Before we begin, NSBAR is getting started on our new fiscal year, which begins October 1. So the business of our new board and committees is kicking into gear. We've already gotten a terrific response from our existing committee members as well as newly interested members who have gone to NSBAR.org and applied to serve on one of our committees for the new year. If you haven't been there already, if you haven't been there yet, it's right on the home page. If you hover over the About at the top, the drop-down menu shows committees as the third page down. All of our committees are listed on the committees page. You are invited to apply for any committees you would like to contribute your talents to, whatever your previous experience. Your term will begin October 1, right around the corner, and lasts until September 30th of 2021. I promise we will respect your time and value your willingness to help yourself and your fellow realtors with your participation. Serving on committees is how to become involved, gain knowledge, and expand your professional network. Also, please check out NSBAR.org / when I say 101, meaning the number 101. That is a web page where you'll find the video for last week's awards and installation event, as well as the beautiful virtual program. Check these out. Our video production is frankly outstanding, and the virtual program is full of great information about NSBAR this past year and congratulatory ads from our generous sponsors. I was moved when I saw the video and love that it is so NSBAR. Speaking of so NSBAR, the gentleman sharing the stage with me is none other than our new president, Brad Andersen of Griffith, Grant & Lackey. Brad is the managing broker of GGL, has been a licensed realtor since 1994, and is the winner of multiple production awards. He's also very active with local entities in the Lake Bluff and Lake Forest area, but we're going to dive more into that in a little bit. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. I love having guests who are never hesitant to speak their mind openly and transparently, which makes it fun to have them on a podcast, and that are also successful in real estate, as I like talking to people, who know how to do this business. So good morning, Mr. Andersen.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
I should mention that we have a studio audience today for
already.
All right, and they're very excited to see you. Thanks for joining us. Before we talk about what you have planned for this coming year, I wanted you and our audience to know that I've received my first piece of fan mail. Our producer, Bradley Laberman, just handed it to me. I'm going to read it. It says, "Dear Jeff, I'm a big fan. After watching more than a season of your podcast, I've thought of a better name for your show. How about Raising the NSBAR? Thank you. A member from Joliet." Well, that doesn't actually sound like fan mail very much. Well, I didn't even know we had any members in Joliet, I guess. But anyway.
We should get some more.
We should get some more. Thanks for joining us. I have a question I ask every one of our guests to break the ice, and that's what your favorite restaurant is. And we've been keeping track of this because I'm compiling places to go.
I appreciate the first question being kind of a softball question.
Well, that's true, but
I tend to like dining locally, and especially with the onset of the pandemic, seeing so many restaurants struggle has been something that we all know they need to overcome. And being a local resident in a community I've been a part of for as many years as I have, I like to hone in on the restaurants that are trying to support our community and our downtown. So I tend to like restaurants like Innovasi in Lake Bluff, and another local favorite is Mavry.
Oh, beautiful. All right, I'm writing those down because, like I said, I like to. There we go again.
More applause.
I guess people like that one too. But I'm obviously trying to hit different places, and thankfully now we can start going out again.
Right, and I find that you know, in the small communities, the central business districts are really the heart of those communities, and they need to be vibrant and they need to be successful, and they're really some of the big attractors to the towns all along the North Shore.
Yeah, and I think it's great advice too to support those local businesses,
Right.
especially right now, as things I know have been kind of tough for them. So let's talk about real estate right now. And when I say it's not been tough, it's been great. Business has been great, but I guess things are maybe softening a little bit right now. How are you seeing
Yeah,
it?
we, you know, going back to thinking about how things were at the end of March, it was a very, very scary time. It continues to be a scary time. But after we got through those first 3 weeks and things began to evolve, and Illinois realtors came forward with a set of protocols, we all, as realtors, kind of jumped back into the game. And then all of a sudden, once we figured out how to do it with the guidance, both from the state, the association, and the Illinois realtors, things began to really skyrocket. And for example, we saw an increase in July business of 300% ahead of last year in July. And during over the summer, our inventory levels decreased dramatically. We're right now tracking in Lake Bluff at about a third of the active listings we had a year ago. In Lake Forest, it's probably closer to about 50% of the active listings from a year ago, but business has been good, and this may turn out to be our most productive year in history.
How about that? But you hearken back again. I mean, we were having inventory issues before the pandemic, right? But it sounds like those aren't getting any better. It sounds like it's getting worse.
Well, lower inventory.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
on the North Shore, specifically on the north end of the North Shore, and I like to call Lake Bluff kind of the North Pole of the North Shore, we were tracking at around 120 active listings, which for Lake Bluff is very high. Now it's back down to 45, maybe 50 listings, which is really lower than we'd like to see it, because there are some price ranges where there's really not much inventory at all. But if things are priced properly and they come on the market, and we're starting to see some more things come back on the market, there's an audience for it.
Okay, so the fairer statement on my part then is that while inventory, I guess we'd always want inventory maybe to be more, but the fact is it's not preventing business from taking place.
No.
Cool.
We're seeing great activity. But getting back to your original point, the last couple of weeks have slowed down a little bit from over the summer, and I think that's just because people are now back registered in school and trying to figure that out. And that dynamic seems to be changing on a daily and weekly basis.
Let's talk a little bit more about you, because I know that people are interested now that you're president of NSBAR. Let's start with how and why you got into real estate in the first place.
It's a long story. Back in 1990, well, earlier than that, back in about 1992, I was working for a family business, a building material supply construction business, and we sold that business. We actually sold the land for that business for a developer who in turn developed some luxury townhomes. But we sold our property, we sold our business, and I was out of a job. And my cousin, my partner, Scott Lasky, approached me and asked me if I'd like to consider getting into real estate. And having been in the construction industry and working with builders and developers, it seemed like an easy and a logical transition for me. So I got my real estate license and began my real estate career in 1994. And it was really at his urging that I did it. And I quickly realized that it was the perfect fit for me, coming from the industry that I had been in, and really took off with it full force. Decided if I was going to do it, I was going to commit myself to it full time. And I soon learned that people that are committed and treat it as a career rather than a job or a stepping stone for something else can do very well in it. It's been a fun ride. It's been a great opportunity for me. It's been a great opportunity for me to do to be in a profession where I could still take part in the activities my children were involved in growing up.
Oh, there you go too. So now I know you got your salesperson's, back then we had salesperson's licenses in '94, but then you actually went and got your brokers, I guess, in early 2000s, right?
Right.
And was there a reason for that, or you were thinking about?
I wanted to buy into the business. And when I started, I was a salesperson. I got my managing broker's license with the idea of taking over the position of managing broker in our Lake Bluff office. And then one of our partners was ready to sell his interest in the business, and it gave me an opportunity to buy in and become a co-owner.
Gotcha. So now and this is the toughest thing. When I talk to guests who are successful in real estate, they have a tendency to be modest about it a bit, even though not to the public. You're always telling people, hey, we've, had these accomplishments, but you're a little bit modest about it on air, on the podcast. But I need you to identify for our audience maybe one or two things that have made you really successful, that have made you the top producer, the award-winning agent that you've been, as well as what you feel is successful as a managing broker.
I think there's a couple key things I would share with the audience about building your own success, and then I'll talk a little bit about the success of our office. But someone told me early on in my career that in order to be successful in real estate, you have to have people that first know you and like you, but most importantly, they have to trust you. And I think that's really what it comes down to, and what's allowed me any personal success is that I've tried very hard to get to know as many people as I can in as many different walks of life as I can, so that they first know me. And then once they get to know you, it's really an opportunity to learn about other people. And it's been fascinating for me to learn about the many different people and the walks of life they have within a community like the ones that I serve most, Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. And we have an incredible array of talented residents that I otherwise wouldn't even have a chance to get to know if it weren't for real estate. But that's what's allowed me to be successful. But part of what allows me to be successful is by getting to know the people in our office. And we have about 30 real estate brokers in our office, some of the most successful on the North Shore. And those agents are people that are willing to share their ideas throughout our office and throughout the industry. And by learning from people that are really successful and sharing time with them, it allows for everyone else to build on that.
I have heard this time and again in our industry, and it seems unique to and it probably isn't only real estate, but boy, it sure seems like successful people in real estate are so willing to share their knowledge with those people that are just working their way up and coming into the industry. I really think it's unique.
I agree, and that's been one of the advantages for me of getting involved with NSBAR and with the association, is that you're not only meeting with and conversing with people in your own office or in your own locale, but you're meeting with people and brokers from throughout the industry. And the executive committee that we have is comprised of people from areas that I don't do business in. So it allows me an opportunity to share ideas and bounce ideas back and forth with managing brokers in non-competing firms.
Well, and you've mentioned NSBAR, and I want to thank you for that, because that leads me into a couple of questions I have. Now, while you say you've benefited from these interactions in NSBAR, why did you become involved in it in the first place?
I'll blame my partner on that as well. Scott Lasky has been involved for many, many years. He was at one time a Realtor of the Year for NSBAR, but he worked on committees since early on in his career, and I didn't. And after probably 20 years in the business, and it's been a good business for me, and it's been a great business for our office, Scott said, at some point you should really try to give back to the industry that has provided for you. And it resonated with me because I've been involved in a lot of different service organizations, philanthropic organizations throughout my career, I listened to what he said, and I thought, you know what, being a realtor you have a responsibility not only to your clients, but to the industry that is there supporting you, and that's why I got involved.
Well, and I have a great appreciation for that, obviously. I talk to agents all the time about becoming more involved. And we do talk about giving back to the industry. But I'd like to talk also about there is a business benefit to becoming involved in the association too, right? In terms of the networking, things like that.
There's a lot of networking opportunities within NSBAR, within the real estate industry as a whole. And going back to what I said before, the idea of being able to meet people that you're not directly competing with on a daily basis is invaluable, because you gain insights and expertise from people that have that knowledge base, and like you said, and they're willing to share it and eager to share it because they know what works for them, and they're happy to share those ideas and help other people.
Yeah, it's this notion that it's just a noble endeavor that I kind of land on with people when I say to them, and it's not that you necessarily start working on committees saying, aha, this is going to benefit my business, but it inevitably does because of the reasons you've stated.
It's just because of the knowledge and the base of knowledge that you're drawing from. I don't think there's a lot of people in NSBAR that get involved in committee assignments only because they want to check it off on their resume.
Right.
But in being involved, it does allow you to do that, which for some people is a plus, but it's something that is beneficial to everyone involved. It's really not it's not something that people do just to benefit their own career.
Right. No, that's great. Now, in talking about NSBAR, and let's talk about realtor associations in general, what do you think is the most valuable thing that a realtor association can do for its members?
I think the primary focus of any association has to be on figuring out what it is that the members need most. NSBAR has the opportunity and the expertise to provide a quality level of education for the membership. And the members need guidance when they first come into the business. They need guidance on how to do things ethically, and they need guidance on how to promote their own business that they may not get from their own brokerage. But they, if NSBAR can provide the services that benefit the members and what the members are asking for, then it's a win-win for everybody. I found it amazing when I was reviewing committee assignments earlier this summer to see that in our association of about 3,800 members, we have 115 members who are giving selfishly of their time to serve on various committees. And an association like NSBAR needs the input of that membership. And it's really volunteer driven. Without the volunteers in the organization, there's not an organization that's of benefit to anyone.
Absolutely. So it sounds to me like because of your involvement on these committees, et cetera, that at one point in time you decided, you know what, I want to be more deeply involved. Because certainly being on the committees is one thing, but then actually being on the board and eventually going up and becoming an officer of the organization is a different thing. So what made you decide to do that?
I looked at the leaders that served ahead of me, and I'll name a few: Ian Robinson, Joel Reynes, Chris Stevenson. These are three guys that provided me a lot of guidance when I was a director before I became on the executive committee, and they showed me a commitment that they have made to the organization that was really making a difference for the membership. And learning from them inspired me to want to spend more time. And it's a big time commitment once you get to the executive committee level, but when you see the results of the work, it all comes full circle, and it makes you realize the commitment is worthwhile.
Yeah, and to clarify for the audience, Executive committee, that's where you're getting up and becoming one of the officers of the organization. President, president-elect, secretary, treasurer, and the immediate past president, obviously, an automatic position the year after you're president. So, and as you've come up the chairs now, as they call it, well, we recently completed a strategic planning process, and we have a nice list of initiatives to accomplish, and we've actually done a 3-year plan, so it's out for 3 years. But in that plan, I think I can safely say everyone's got their favorites, or the things they think are the most important to accomplish. And you and I have talked where I've said to you, this is your year as president. What are the couple of things you really want to make sure that we get done? So maybe you could share with us what you feel are the 2 or 3 most important initiatives to accomplish this year.
I'll harken back to something that Chris Stevens said that was part of his plan that I think we need to continue, and that was being completely transparent with our membership, and that was one of the initiatives of the 3-year strat plan prior to our current one. And I think Chris did an incredible job of carrying that out. We're evidencing that today with this podcast. We have a new platform to communicate with our members. We have a new platform that allows for the leadership at NSBAR to share their ideas with the membership. And it also offers an opportunity to the membership to hear from the leadership team as to what direction we're going, and provide them an opportunity to give us direct feedback. So I think that was one thing that I wanted to continue. The other thing that I really want to build and develop, and you're fully aware of what I'm going to say, is our affiliate program. We have a lot of members of the association that are vendors that supply services to the membership of the association and to the association itself. And those vendors draw business from our membership, and they make significant donations to NSBAR in order to get in front of them. So it's really a win-win. They provide services and we provide business. And I think that there's an opportunity for NSBAR with 3,800 members to dig deeper into that and to build our affiliate member program to a level we've never seen before. And I want to dig into the business community and show the business community how they can benefit from their association with our talented group of brokers.
It's and in creating and working on the strategic partner program that you're talking about, what when I say I couldn't agree with you more, we've had such generous support in the past, but it's been, say, ad hoc. It's been here, there, and to be able to create a plan and have a program where there's a strategic nature to it for our partners, for the affiliates to come on and do this, so they benefit so much more than they've been able to benefit before. And obviously they also get the opportunity to help us provide events and programming. So I think that's a great thing to focus on, for sure.
And I think that we can tie in the third issue, or the third goal of mine, into all of this, and that is creating a philanthropic arm of NSBAR. And I think that will help enable us to get the business community behind it. Realtors' primary function is to serve the need of their clients. But if they can tie in that objective with the idea of providing service to the communities they're working in, and not just take from those communities, but to give back to those communities, it'll put realtors in a new light, and it'll give them an image within the community that helps serve their business and serve their own personal needs to give back to the communities that are supporting their business endeavors.
Yeah, a credible, justified, and accurate image of those realtors. And I notice you're wearing your NSBAR Cares button. Thank you very much for doing that.
Very proud to do that.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of great work already, but I'm excited about, like I say, a strategic planned approach to what you're talking about. it's exciting times around here for sure. And it's not been so exciting in the last few months in talking about, and I know everybody's tired of talking about the pandemic, and I know that, it's, I'm hopeful. Maybe we're just starting to make a little bit of progress towards being able to see each other a little bit more and all that other neat stuff. But, so I'm going to phrase the question that I'm going to ask a little differently than I have been the last few months. If I were to say to you that a vaccine were on the way and that we're going to totally and finally be past COVID-19, I'm going to ask you what's the biggest thing you will take out of COVID-19 from this experience, and you can go business-wise, you can go personal. What's the biggest thing that you're going to take out of this experience, knowing that we've gotten past it?
I think for me, the biggest thing that will be accomplished once the vaccine is finally introduced and we find that it's successful is we'll take away a lot of fear from everybody. We're all navigating new waters now, and just the idea of not walking into your own office without a mask, or going to a grocery store without a mask, or picking up a prescription without a mask, it's not only an inconvenience, but every time you put that mask on, you're doing it to protect yourself and you're doing it to protect others. But in the back of your minds, at least in the back of my mind, and I think of most people's minds, they're still walking into uncharted waters and they don't know what the end result's going to be. So I think it's the alleviation of any fear people have that will allow people to move on with their lives with a level of normalcy that they were accustomed to before the pandemic. And that will allow people in our industry to go about their daily jobs the way they're accustomed to, and be able to do it with a great deal of confidence and not have that lingering fear. So that's my thought on a business level. On a personal level, I've got a 90-plus-year-old mother that's living in an extended care facility right now with no visitors. Now, thank God there's been no cases among the patients in the facility she's in, but she's living alone and she can't visit her grandkids or her great-grandkids, and it's a terrible personal struggle for the family. But, when that's resolved, that'll be the best resolution from a personal level.
Joyful. A joyful resolution. Great answers. All right, I've just got a couple of more things that I want to touch on. As you know, we have the ability, obviously, to speak to every new member of NSBAR when they join the association. So, if you were the one that was speaking to them, what would you say to convince them to actively participate in NSBAR?
I'm one that started late with my involvement with NSBAR. So I think that whether somebody starts right at the beginning by joining YPN and getting involved at that level, or if they wait, it's certainly okay. Not everyone has the time to volunteer at the very onset of their career, but I think the people that are joining now, people that just get through orientation, the very best way for them to dig into their real estate career would be to jump on board and sign up with our Young Professionals organization and get to know people that are in the same position they are. Most people that start real estate as a second career. I certainly did, but there's very few people coming out of college or even out of high school that say at that point in their life they're going to become a realtor. They usually are trying something else first before they jump into real estate, and I think that's really a benefit oftentimes for them because they get some practical experience in another industry. But once they get into real estate, they need to start networking immediately, whether it's at an association level, at a volunteer level, or at a community level. And the more people you know, getting back to what I said, people have to know you first, like you, and trust you. The more people you know, the more opportunities you have to gain that trust with them. And with people I know from my own son's experience in YPN that he had agents from other brokerage companies outside of the area that would refer business back and forth with him and they wouldn't have known him if it wasn't for his involvement in YPN.
Beautiful.
So it can definitely be a benefit.
For sure. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now, is there anything that I've not asked you about that you wanted to make sure our audience was aware of?
I think getting back to networking and philanthropy, I would encourage all of our members to get involved in community service organizations, get involved in their village government, and get involved in positions that can benefit other people. And I think that I'll speak briefly about my own personal experience and why maybe it resonates with me. Early on, after I came back from school in Texas and started working in this family construction industry, I was asked to join the Lions Club. It was the first service organization I joined, and a few years into it, we had a goal to raise some money. We received a letter from a family who had a son with a I'll misname the name of it, but it was like a pediatric degenerative disease of the eyes. And he was a young child, and it forced him, or didn't allow him, to read the written word on a book. But there was a machine out there that was capable of putting a book on a platform and magnifying it. And it had to be magnified to the point where he saw one letter at a time, but it would scroll across a screen. And with some training, this young boy was able, for the first time, to read a book. And it was only a $5,000 donation, and it took our club very little time. But knowing that we were able to raise that money, that I got that child to read, it stayed with me.
Oh, how could it not? I mean, that's so...
I think it's, but there's those little things that you can do without a lot of effort that can really change the life of somebody else. And that's why I would encourage people to really think about that in their careers.
Bravo. And I think that stretches to be, more direct about it in terms of real estate. Obviously, you guys are changing people's lives every day by helping them buy and sell homes. But boy, to extend it to the work that you're doing in those other community organizations, that's terrific. That must feel great, by the way.
It does feel great.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, it's been a highlight of my career outside of my profession.
Wonderful. Well, Mr. President, this has been terrific. I cannot thank you enough for joining our podcast today and sharing your wisdom and perspectives. I know you had mentioned posting your home phone number to make it easy for our members to contact you at any time of day or night. But frankly, I'm worried that you'll get a lot of crank calls from Main Street and Chicago Association of Realtors staff, so we're not going to do that. But thank you again.
If any of the members anytime want to call me and ask any questions about the association or how they can serve the association for the benefit of the other membership, I'd be happy to speak with them. And actually, I look forward to a call with you and our committee chairs coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got we're powering on to this stuff. We're moving here. We're gonna have a very active and exciting year full of accomplishment. So
I think we've all got a lot to look forward to.
Sure do. And that's a wrap. Please don't forget to keep an eye on NSBAR Communications to stay current. And get over to NSBAR.org and apply for those committees if you're interested in any. I want to thank Bradley Laberman, as usual, for the great job running the board. And thanks to you for tuning in to Raising the NSBAR. I very much appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.